watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, and welcome to The Establishing Shot, a podcast where we do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. I am your host, Eli Price, and we are here on episode 77 of the podcast today. We are still on a little break, a holiday break from our Spielberg series. We'll be picking that back up soon. But for this week, we have another rerun of an old draft. This comes from episode 4. And is now getting its own solo episode by itself. And this is a Disney Animated Classics movie draft that I did very early on in the show with my guest Harrison Fredericks. It was really fun to record. Had fun kind of listening back through it a bit. So I hope you enjoy it. And maybe this is your first time hearing it, and that's great too. But yeah, enjoy it.
And move into our movie draft section. So, if you're tuning into this segment for the first time, basically how our movie drafts work is they're kind of like, I'm a big fantasy football guy, and so I'm used to like this idea of drafting players. But if you're not familiar with that, it's basically just think about like you're picking your kickball team out on the playground. Like you want to pick the best players. Like you don't want the kid that like is going to whiff on the ball every time. You want the kid that's going to like kick that thing way out into the outfield and get you some runs in. So maybe that's a better analogy for some people of how this works. But basically, we're going to be drafting Disney animated classics to kind of go along with our Disney talk. Now, Disney animated classics, it's not just any animated Disney movie. Disney kind of has these movies starting way back with Snow White was the very first Disney animated classic, quote unquote. And they have through the years they've dubbed these specific movies as they've released them. These are our animated classics. And so at this point, there are 61. The first, obviously, like I said, being Snow White. And the most recent one was Strange World, which came out last year, which I have not seen. I have not seen Strange World.
Yeah, I did not see that one either. I don't think it got a lot of good press when it came out.
Yeah.
And I think that really hindered people from seeing it.
Yeah. So I have actually seen almost all of these. I'll get to why in my recommendations section.
Okay.
I have a fun recommendation, but I think there's only 4 that I haven't seen.
Wow.
Out of all of
that's
these.
crazy.
Yeah. So,
I mean, hey, I was a Disney child growing up too. So
absolutely.
I think we may have some overlap. There are a couple in there from maybe like the 70s and 80s that I just totally missed.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty familiar with this list as well.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into it. Harry, you're the guest for today, so I'm going to give you the first pick in the draft.
Oh, you shouldn't do that.
It comes back to bite me too in past drafts. So yeah, go ahead. Number 1.
Dude,
what are you picking?
My all-time favorite animated movie, it just so happens to be a Disney classic from the 90s. I grew up watching it. It was so important to me as a child that I would literally act out the characters.
Yeah.
But so I'll explain in a sec. I'm drafting The Lion King as number 1 overall.
Yes.
Like no contest. And I'll explain that I was a child acting out as a lion, okay? That's how important it was to me. Like I literally would crawl around on the floor with a friend of mine and I would be Simba and she would be Nala. And we would just like act out the movie because it was so awesome. It was so epic. I mean, Hans Zimmer composed the
Oh yeah.
score. One of the all-time great composers composing for a children's movie. It's a combination that you would never expect,
Right.
but it just creates this epic children's like masterpiece. And I watched it a couple months ago, and I was just reminded as an adult like how special it is to me. So
Yeah.
I'm drafting that one overall, first overall.
Yeah. I mean, that, to be honest, that probably would have been my number one pick too. I grew up with The Lion King. I think I was 3 years old when The Lion King came out in '94. And so, man, I grew up just watching this movie, loving it. And actually, recently, when my son turned 4, we were like, "Hey, when you turn 4, we can do like a movie night." And we watched The Lion King for his movie night. So he's like watched other movies before, but that was our first time. It's like he gets to stay up late, a little bit later, eat some popcorn with us, and watch a movie. And man, he actually got a Simba, like a stuffed Simba for Christmas, and he sleeps with it every night. Like he loves it. Like he'll walk in the room and be like, "Daddy, look," and he's like, like kissing his Simba. Like,
That's
so
great.
yeah, The Lion King is special to me from my childhood, and it's cool to see it. Like my son like loves it too already, like at 4 years old. So yeah, you know, great choice. I'm gonna go with another one from the '90s as my number two choice. It's actually I've been working on a rankings list for all these, and I actually had one move up to number one that I'm gonna save because I think I can get it later in the draft.
Okay. Okay.
But it actually moved above Lion King for me. Just as an adult, trying to put my nostalgia aside, I
Sure.
moved it up to number one. But I'll get to it. I think I can get it later. But I'm gonna go with my number three on my rankings list, and that is Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it's just it's just an incredible movie. The songs are incredible. The story is interesting and engaging. Um, Angela Lansbury, like, I don't know if when the last time you like listened to that like main song. I can't. Is it just called Beauty and the Beast? I think.
I think
Um,
so. I
but
should know I should know that because this is like probably my second favorite animated
yeah,
movie.
yeah. So I mean, I I actually like really like tuned in the last time I heard it and like listened to the words, and it's actually like an incredibly written song. So yeah, Beauty and the Beast. I'm making my wife proud. It's her favorite Disney movie. So um, she loves reading books, and so she's like, "I am Belle." So making
That's
making her
great. Hey,
proud.
that makes you
Yeah,
the beast, right?
absolutely.
Let's
So
go, Eli.
rough exterior, handsome underneath. Um, but yeah, Beauty and the Beast my is going to be my number one pick. So where are you going to go number two?
Dude, that's a really great question. There's so many from the 90s that I could pick just because that's what I'm the most familiar with,
Sure, yeah,
but I don't want to sleep on the early days, like when Walt was in the
yeah,
studio drawing.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so I don't know a good spot for this one, but this one is Walt. If I remember correctly, it's Walt Disney's last movie. It's the
Okay.
last one that he was involved in, and it was um, it has just such a classy animated feel to it
Mm-hmm.
that as a kid it's recognizable even to like young children that like, man, this is just special.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go 101 Dalmatians,
Oh yeah.
but I think I want to draft it like number 4. I don't want to, I want to leave some room. I think there's some better ones in there, but I just really want to get this one on the list before I forget. So I'm going to
Yeah,
take
sure.
101 Dalmatians at slot number 4.
Okay. So you're taking it here as number 2 off the board, but it would probably be number 4 on your
On my
if
list.
you were to
Yeah.
if you were to rank your list here. Okay.
Yes. Is that what you did with your number 3, or you took Beauty and the Beast number 1 on your draft?
No, I took it number 1.
Okay.
So I'm basically I'm saying it's number 3 on my rankings list.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and take it. So because I felt like you might take it if I don't take it now, sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah. See, I've never been in a draft before, so I mean, fantasy football that counts, I guess.
Yeah. So just think of it as that. I want to take this movie before Eli can get it.
Okay.
Because yeah.
So then, in the spirit of a draft, I should probably move 101 Dalmatians to number 2, correct?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Okay.
All right.
I don't want to break the system.
I think 101 Dalmatians is a great pick. It's pretty high up on my list. I had on my rankings. So basically in Letterboxd, I have my rankings list, and so I'm kind of using that as a basis for knowing what I really love and want to pick. So I'm gonna go with my second pick. I'm gonna go back even further, all the way back to 1940, and pick one of my favorites in Pinocchio. It's amazing to see. When I watched Pinocchio a couple years ago, it was the first time I'd seen it probably since I was a kid. And what really stood out to me was Pinocchio was an animated movie made in 1940, but it has camera movements. You're not just watching drawings, frames of drawings move. It has camera movements, it's following Pinocchio and the wolf down the road. And I was just this is incredible, that they were able to create this this illusion of camera movements in 1940 with their animation. And then on top of that, just the story to me is just so engaging. Just that idea of what does it mean to be a human? What does it mean to be a real boy? Is just really engaging to me and intriguing to think through, what is it that Pinocchio does or decides to do that makes him real, makes him human, that sort of thing that we all think about. So yeah, I'm going Pinocchio.
Nice.
So
pick.
Yeah, you've got Lion King and 100 Dalmatians. I got Beauty and the Beast and Pinocchio. Where are you going next?
All right. I think I got to go music. Okay. Because musicals were a very integral part of my film watching experience as a kid. I mentioned that in the very beginning of this podcast, but music to me is storytelling. So if you can have a score that is composed or an original soundtrack that is just off the charts, it's got to be on the list for me. So for number 3, I'm going to take Tarzan. The power of Phil Collins is undeniable, at least in the 90s. It's undeniable.
Sure.
I know he's bankrupt now, but in the 90s, this guy was off the charts.
Oh yeah.
I could probably sing the entire soundtrack to myself. And I know that some people don't like the fact that it is just Phil Collins singing the entire movie.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it. He's really talented. He has that one song that everybody knows, I Can Hear It Calling in the Air Tonight, whatever that was called.
Yeah.
So just listening to that on repeat, I could do that. And I also had a Nintendo 64 video game for Tarzan.
Nice.
So that only boosted my fandom of Tarzan, that story. Yeah. So it's up there.
Yeah.
It's the music. The music is what does it for me. So Tarzan number 3.
That's fair. Yeah, I actually had a Lion King game on Super Nintendo when I was a kid. So that might age me a little bit with the Super Nintendo reference. But yeah, Tarzan is one of those that I loved as a kid. I remember seeing it in theaters. Like I have this memory of like coming out of the theater, and I was probably like, I think that was like 99 ish. So I was about 8 years old and coming out of the theater, like wanting to like run like ape like Tarzan and stuff.
You wanted to
Yeah.
like slide down some vines
Yes.
on your
Which
feet. Yeah.
what a cool like thing to watch. But like watching it recently, me and my wife watched it not that long ago, and man, I just didn't connect with it the same. It's one of those that like just didn't age as well with me, and I don't know. Me and my wife have kind of fought about it, and it's probably a hot take, but I don't really think Phil Collins's music works for the story. And you know, I get I get why like it works for some people, but for me it's like he kind of has like one trick, and like it's just that same thing. Like it's that very emotional synthy like boom 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 boom, like, and you're supposed to like connect with that, but like Tarzan the story has this like pretty wide emotional range, and like for me when I watched it this time, uh one of the things that was like discombobulating was like there's these like wide range of emotions going on screen, but then like it's just like Phil Collins with his like one trick, and and he does it well, like don't get me wrong, like you hear a Phil Collins song and you know it's Phil Collins, like there's something to say about that, but it just didn't work for me this time in this movie, and maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. you know, maybe I need to watch it again. But
Maybe you need
yeah,
to have a really large meal from Cane's to really just like
yes,
put you
to
in the mood.
relax. Yeah, but yeah, let's keep going. I'm gonna pick my third one here, um, and I'm gonna go with Mulan. Mulan for me is another one that I remember vividly from my childhood. And man, it has incredible music. It has a cool story. It has the song "Be a Man," which is just a banger to just sing out loud in the shower, And so yeah, Mulan is it's really good, and really too like just what an incredible female character. Like I feel like Disney, I feel like Mulan, like they've had tons of great female characters through the years. But to me, Mulan was just like, I don't know, she's like the definitive strong female Disney character for me, I think. Um, but
Yeah, she's probably the only like Disney princess that kind of fights.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
like,
I know
and is good at it.
they've started to introduce more of that fighting into the Disney princesses with like
Right.
Elsa, Moana, things like that. But
Yeah.
like the
Raya,
OG,
especially.
yeah, the OG Disney princesses, Mulan was probably the most like BA.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's my pick. Going with Mulan.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, soundtrack
Yeah.
is fire on that one.
Oh yeah.
Plus Eddie Murphy as playing a dragon. Come on, who would not be a fan of that?
Yeah. All right, where are you going next? This is your fourth pick.
All right, so number 4. So it's got to be something like mid tier because I think some of the best ones have already been taken,
Sure.
but I think there's still room for some 90s love. I might be able to get some older ones in at the very end. So I think I'm going to try to work some more 90s in
All right.
before you sweep them up. I think Pocahontas was legit as a
Yeah.
child. Like because I had super blonde hair as a kid, I like thought I was John Smith.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, I just like uh that is another one. I think the soundtrack for I think pretty much all of my picks at this point has been a central theme. So that
Sure,
could
yeah.
be a tell of like kind of where my head is at for most of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
Pocahontas for me is like the thing I like most about it is the music. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I also really like the animation of kind of like the world through Pocahontas's eyes.
Hmm.
So, oh man, just like her song "Just Around the River Bend" is a
Yeah.
great one. Like some really like beautiful and like 2D animation of just the forest and her interacting with it. I also really liked the way was it Mother Tree? Is that the
Yeah, yeah.
name?
It's like
Or
Willow or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
Grandmother Willow something.
Yeah.
That animation is just like super clean looking. I love that 2D style. And I
Hmm.
think there's just some really beautiful imagery in that movie. I know it's not historically accurate. I
Yeah,
know
sure.
that, history tells a different story than what Disney tried to spin on it.
Hmm.
But that being out of the equation, I think there is still something really important that it says about, um, just the way that things did not go down smoothly when British settlers got over here. And so to have that relationship and to try to, I think, inspire people, especially younger people, to extend the olive branch to make peace with people who don't look like you.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's a really important message in that film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good pick. And there's a reason we're picking so many 90s movies because it's called the Disney Renaissance for a reason.
Yep.
Um and man, they really had like the hand-drawn animation just like down to a T at this point. It's just so good. It's kind of like right after Tarzan, they start trying to mix in CGI, and they had like a little period where it was awkward, and they weren't real sure what they were doing yet with the CGI animation. But yeah, that hand drawn '90s animation is just so good. Yeah, I'm struggling here. I have some that I have ranked higher, but I really want to give some shout out to some more unique stuff, and something that I've always like felt was just really fun, and interesting. Like uh, something that really intrigues me or like makes me like think about the possibilities of like what art can be, is Fantasia. So this is my second movie from 1940. Um, Man, it's that series of shorts set to music with a live orchestra playing. And it's just like this idea. You'll have the commentator kind of come on and say, this is like what the song is called, and this is what the Disney animators were thinking about when they listened to this song, and so now you're going to see it, and then you get to watch like what these animators imagined to this music, um, like on screen. And to me, that's just like, it's really cool. And I think it's cool. You know, I'm interested one day to show this to my kids and see, if they might, I don't know, they might just think it's boring. Or maybe they're like, will be able to engage with it and like see new possibilities of like what art can be like and how different art forms can mix. So yeah, I really love Fantasia. I think it's just a unique movie, in the Disney animated classics for sure.
Yeah, that's one that is there's very little dialogue, if I remember correctly, right? It's just like a symphony. It's like an orchestra the
Yeah,
whole time, right?
yeah. So there's most of it is just like the music, and then you're watching like there's a story playing out in all these little. It's basically a series of shorts for all intents and purposes. And there's definitely like stories that you're watching play out, but it's almost like watching a silent film, to a degree. So yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, where are you going with your fifth pick?
All right, I think it's time to throw it back. Some oldies but some goldies. I think I got to go. Man, there's like 3 or 4 that I could go with, and I I could run the risk of being canceled for this pick, okay? But I think I got to
Just
do
do
it.
it.
I got to go Peter Pan for number
Okay.
5.
Okay. Yeah.
I know Peter Pan has its problems, okay?
Absolutely. It does.
The
We all know it.
it has some problems in it, okay? We all have a little bit of problems with us, right? Like none of us are perfect. We all have some things that we've done or said that we regret, right?
Right.
That shouldn't diminish the imaginative capability that the like overarching story of Peter Pan is. And
Hmm.
there's a reason why it's been adapted and redone so many times is because it is like the ultimate kids story. The
Sure.
idea of Neverland, the idea of not growing up as a
Hmm.
kid, I mean that's just like heaven, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Having an arch nemesis who is a pirate with a
Yes.
hook for a hand, like
Yes.
these are all things that kids dream of in their head without ever like really saying it. And I think Peter Pan as a story, if you can look through the issues that it has, it's one of the all-time like classic children's stories.
Yeah.
And I know that is Peter Pan one of those grim stories that Disney adapted?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Because I know
I don't
that
know where their
Disney,
original story came from.
yeah, I'm not familiar with the original, like who did it first. I do
Hmm.
know that Disney has adapted grim stories,
Yeah.
which you know, uh,
I
original
want to
source
say
material is
no,
much
but
darker, but I don't think this one is.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, Peter Pan is it's one of those stories that's just like a classic story. And, we all know that the Native American sequence is just like, you can't do that, but that aside, it's fun. It's a fun story, it's interesting. It's got those themes of growing up. But yeah, I think Peter Pan is a good pick. It's not high on my list, but to pick from, but yeah, still a good pick. Um I think I'm gonna be able to save my recently new favorite Disney movie for last. So this is my fifth pick. So I'm gonna save it for seven, and hopefully you don't take it. I don't think you will,
Okay, okay.
but yeah, it might surprise people. I'm gonna go with you know what? I'm gonna go with the 1977, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Man, I watched this movie. I think I've watched it several times at this point because there was a period where my son wanted to watch it every time we would watch something, and he doesn't really watch the whole thing, so you'll watch part of it and then cut it off and then watch the rest later. But yeah, it's it's just a good it just is a feel good movie. And then you get the moment at the very end with Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh that's like kind of heart wrenching and like touching. And the characters are also fun. Uh, it's Winnie the Pooh. Like, what's not to love? So
Yeah,
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh
that's
is
my fifth.
that's another one of those all-time just like, man, this was so done. This was so made for children,
Oh yeah,
but it also grows with you as you get older, which
yeah.
is
And not
that's
the
pretty
newer one.
awesome.
The newer one is good because
Sure.
there's actually two Disney animated classics, but that '70s one is just so good. But yeah, where are you going with your sixth pick?
All right. I think I'm staying in the oldies for right now. I'm just gonna throw it out there. The Rescuers.
Okay,
This one, there are probably two other people. No, I'm gonna say one other person who's my age who has seen this movie, and it's my sister.
okay,
And the reason why is because this movie is not it's it's not on anyone's radar, okay?
yeah,
The only
sure,
reason it's on my radar is because like we were just a Disney house growing up.
sure, yeah,
So anything that like my parents watched when they were younger was on, okay? So
yeah,
now my mom obviously this movie came out in the 70s, right?
yeah. It was '77. Same, actually, same year
77.
as Winnie the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Yeah,
So yeah, my parents were not like they weren't kids, they weren't babies in the mid 70s. They were like elementary school age at that point, I believe. But yeah, I think that that's the reason this movie trickled down to us is
Mm-hmm.
because like they liked it, so they
Sure.
were like, "Hey, watch this."
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's a really cool adventure. It's one of those just very simple uh not too much to handle kids movies,
Yeah. There's
and
not like a lot that it's just like an adventure movie.
it's a very simple
Yeah.
and gentle adventure movie from the 70s about mice
Yeah.
who help a girl escape her crazy aunt who wants to abuse her to get a diamond. Like
Right.
it's so straightforward. There's nothing complex about it, and I think it
Like
has a
bizarre,
real
but straightforward.
yes. She like rides alligators. The crazy
Yeah.
aunt like rides alligators like for fun. Uh which they should probably remake that and like put it in Lafayette or something. Like make
Yeah.
that the setting.
They could
That'd be
shoot it.
fun.
I'll be an extra in that. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
that's my number
if
6.
Disney's going to make all this money off these remakes, then might as well get some of it.
Might as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so Rescuers, okay. That's one that I watched in the not too distant past that I thought was fine, I thought it wasn't terrible, not my favorite, but it is just a very simple story for sure. Yeah, so this is my 6th pick. We're nearing the end here. I feel like, man, it's hard because I want to make sure I hit enough kind of eras to get like a versatile kind of list. I think what I'm going to do here is go with one from 1951 that's just kind of like a trip of a movie in Alice in Wonderland. Um, it's it's just like it's sort of like The Rescuers is like straightforward, simple movie, and to me, I guess Alice in Wonderland is not necessarily simple or straightforward, but like uh, it doesn't have a lot of peripheral stuff going on. It's just kind of like you're in this strange world and you don't know what's going to happen. Um, and I don't know. To me, that's interesting. And I think I think it brings something to the table that like not a lot of Disney movies do. It's just a very different story, a very different sort of fantastical, strange, almost like charmingly scary in a way that a lot of Disney stuff isn't. You've got the Cheshire Cat showing up. So yeah, to me, it's just a standout. It's interesting and unique among all these movies. So I'm gonna go with Alice in Wonderland.
Cool.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't think I've really seen that one all the way through.
Really? Okay.
Like I've seen bits and pieces, but I don't think I've sat all the way through it. So I should probably add that to my list.
Yes, absolutely. You should. All right. What you got last? This is your last one.
Last one. So should I go with the solid should I go in the Renaissance where I know I can get another solid pick, or should I do something a little riskier? I mean, I feel like the Rescuers was pretty risky.
Yes, absolutely.
But I
didn't tell you this, but I am going to make a poll pitting our
Okay.
picks against each other. So
Perfect.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
When you're making this last pick. What's going to set your list over the edge to beat mine?
I think I have my risky pick. So maybe I should go with a safer one. And I'm going to make this pick and I'm only going to say one word, okay? The word is genie. I'm going with Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin.
Robin Williams he's not Aladdin, but he is Aladdin. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like the amount of laughter I get from watching Aladdin just because Robin Williams is in it is absolutely the only reason I should ever watch that movie. Like, I Jafar is great. I actually do like Jafar as a villain. He may be one of my
Okay.
favorite Disney villains. I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
he is like uh sinister, just evil as all evil could be.
Hmm.
And it's funny though because I'm not really saying much about Aladdin
Yeah.
because I don't think he's really like that dynamic of a hero. Um, of course he
He's a fumbling hero, you know.
fumbling, yes. He is the, I guess, gullible idiot maybe that we just sort of are like, yeah, dude, you'll get it at some point.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm just so locked in whenever Genie is on the screen, and also whenever Jafar is there because he's just like causing trouble
Yeah.
and he's just so sinister. I like him as a villain. So I'm gonna go Aladdin, and hopefully that is like a solid rounding pick. I'm sure a lot of people would put that one way higher, but I
Yeah.
think
Sure.
this gives me a good safe pick to end on.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's Aladdin's another one with just great songs. Um, it starts off with I can't think of the words to it, but it's that song that's like bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-ba. And it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
such a like it makes you want to like get up and run around Agaba with him, uh, and it makes you it's a very musical kind of song. Like it's a song that feels like you could see it like on Broadway because
Oh
it just
yeah.
has that kind of like dancey, sing songy feel to it, which is really fun. But yeah, that's probably my favorite song in that movie. Uh, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I mean, I know there's a whole new world, but that might be my least favorite song in the whole movie, to be
Yeah.
honest.
That's
Um,
fair. I mean,
yeah,
Genie's song is great. I
yeah,
think that one's probably my favorite.
yeah. So there's a lot of places I can go here. I've been going off my rankings list, which doesn't include all of the movies. So there's some newer ones that I really love. Like Big Hero 6 is just I love that movie. It's such a good tale of like sacrifice and like doing something for a friend, like sacrificing yourself for a friend. And Moana to me is just like an incredible movie about like calling, like something like beyond yourself, like out there, like calling you to something greater. And yeah, I love Moana. But I'm going with something that might hurt me. I have this tendency in these drafts. Like I make these picks that end up coming back to bite me. We'll just see. We don't know how these polls are going to turn out, but we'll see what the people think. But I'm going with actually another '90s movie in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Uh, I was blown away. I watched this recently. I believe when did I see this? It was like a couple months ago. Me and my wife watched this, and I was blown away. First of all, by like the just the way the camera moves through this like animated world. It's obviously like you've got these grand buildings and the camera's like moving through them, and it's actually like pretty well done animation. And like I think it has the best character introduction that I've ever seen in a Disney movie, with like the Bells of Notre Dame song like um introducing Quasimodo. uh it's just like, man, it's just an incredible movie, and it's very mature. I think is the thing that struck me the most. Like it's dealing like very seriously with these like very religious themes, um and I just was very struck by that. And it dealt with it very maturely, and meaningfully. So yeah, that's my pick that has become one of my new favorite Disney movies here recently, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I'm gonna read back our lists, and we will be putting a poll out so the people can decide who drafted the best Disney animated classics list. So Harrison has The Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, Tarzan, Pocahontas, Peter Pan, and The Rescuers. And I missed your last one. I didn't write it down.
It
Your
was
last one
Aladdin.
was Aladdin. So yeah, that's a great list.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time crafting it. A lot of thought went into this one.
Yeah, so my list is Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio, Mulan, Fantasia, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Alice in Wonderland, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, yeah, we'll put a poll out and let the people decide who has the best list.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that draft with my guest Harrison Fredericks on our Disney animated classics. A lot of great ones. Really happy with my list. And yeah, if you have any disagreements with our picks or things you think are just blasphemous that we left out, you can contact us. Uh, you can go leave a voicemail on the website at establishingshotpod.com, or you can leave us a voicemail or email rather at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. And yeah, there's lots of ways to support the show. It's a new year. Go leave a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever. That would help greatly. And yeah, you can also become a supporter financially. Have some different giving tiers. You get to pick a movie that I have to review at some point during the year on the show. Some other perks. So yeah, go check those out on the website as well. Again, that's establishingshotpod.com. And thanks for listening. And we will see. That's it for this week. We will see you next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.